I'm not sure that we have the actual like empirical evidence to say that that once you get your PhD that you don't develop lifelong collaborations, right? Like, I think it's probably really varied. I think some people hold on to some of those relationships that they formed during their PhDs, and some people don't. But I will say, like, I can certainly understand why some people are reticent to hold on to those relationships, because some of those relationships may have been really unproductive, very difficult, very like emotionally challenging, right? There's a lot of power dynamics in the academy. And I know from mentoring dozens of doctoral students that some advisors are really fantastic and some advisors are not. Some advisors give their students a lot of agency, but also direction. And some people, sort of create really toxic, dependent relationships where grad students feel constantly like beat down and never really like they're contributing. And that can feel really icky. Like, why would you want to maintain a relationship with somebody who kind of berated you, constantly? Even if maybe they had like good intentions to try to get you to think better and to be your best self, it doesn't feel good, right? To cultivate or to hold on to a relationship in which you feel really emotionally scarred by. And so, for sure, there are. Those are some of the reasons I think people wouldn't hold on to those relationships. And I think other people, I do try to encourage people, don't like be dependent on your advisor. Really try to have a team of people who are supporting you. When I was in grad school, my advisor was amazing in many ways. And there were ways in which like he wasn't really helpful to me. And so I reached out to other professors. I also reached out to a lot of professors who are emeriti or emeritus status, because they really wanted to engage with students. Like, they were kind of at the part of their career where their legacy is what they're able to pass down to next generations. And so I had coffee with several professors who were like in their 80s and their 90s. Wow. And they would read my work and they would give me feedback, and they were like such amazing sources of wisdom. And I didn't have those kinds of like, those power dynamics weren't there in a way, because they had nothing to prove and they had a lot of time for me. So yeah, my advice to people is like, if your relationship with your advisor is not working out, like, make sure you are really diversifying the people who are on your team. Yes. And hopefully those relationships will carry on as you pursue your career, regardless of whether you stay in academia or not.
Angelo Robles, welcome to PhD Lounge, and we finally sit down to have a chat after some time of trying. Oh, let's have a talk. It's been a while. Let's try and have a talk. I think they've been going around on this since last year. I'd say.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So you said already you were having an experiment research tomorrow. So tell me a bit more about that. And
we're trying to extract DNA from zebrafish at the moment. So we're trying to prove that the gene is actually present in zebrafish. So at the moment, we're just tracking preliminary experiments just actually to confirm before proceeding ahead with the further experiments.
Oh, okay.
But yeah.
As a person who is not knowledgeable on science and all those technical terms, just explain me like in a simple terms, and wondering if it is a long-term research experiment that you've been doing since the beginning of your PhD or in your final stages.
I'm currently on my final stretch of my PhD now. So, what we're doing right now is, since it's not really common knowledge, but in our field, zebrafish is considered like a model organism.
Yes.
Specifically, it shares a big chunk homologous DNA with humans as well. What we're trying to do right now is edit, not necessarily edit, but modulate the plasmalogen levels within zebrafish via modulating the genes affecting that plasmalogen. For example, FR1 or PEDs. But yeah.
So it's kind of a complicated process then.
Yeah, it's a complicated process in a way, but yeah.
In a way, so how is it?
So FAR1 is the gene that modulates plasmalogen biosynthesis. So plasmalogen is a type of lipid that is important in biological membranes, specifically in all sorts. Oh, forgot what I'm saying now. Can you read the question again? Sorry.
So, with the current research, just the current experiment you're doing it.
Yeah.
If you had, is it a long-term one? Is it at the final? Is that around the final stages?
Oh, is it? Yeah, it's the final stages. Yeah. Yeah.
And, what did you have so far around that? Any prior knowledge or any research-based evidence around it? I'm just trying shaping up the question around.
Yeah. So at the moment, so my PhD has like two goals. So the first goal is to prove that there are plasmalogen in the zebrafish, because the literature says that there's confounding evidence that the plasmalogens even exist. So you need to prove first that there are plasmalogens in zebrafish. So I've actually proven that there are plasmalogens in zebrafish within the first few months of my PhD. And right now it's just characterizing the lipid landscape in zebrafish, because it's not fully characterized yet.
Right.
And that's what we're going through as well. And the final stages, we're trying to modulate these lipids, and if it models or even recapitulates disease models.
Just sounds like a complicated process in gathering all the evidence, and throughout those research experiments, including the one that you will have tomorrow, in order to find something even more complex, or will be eventually something that is easygoing then.
Yeah, hopefully it will be easygoing by then. But yeah, just stretch with the final experiments now.
So, what is your educational background? How did it lead towards your PhD? Because you said your PhD is in medicine, isn't it?
Technically, not necessarily in medicine, but more on like clinical research. So my background is on medical genetics, genomics, and then I pivoted into neuroscience, specifically in lipidomics. So it's the study of lipids.
The study of lipids.
Yeah.
Could you elaborate a bit more?
So study of lipids. For example, cholesterol is a type of lipid found in your heart. A lot of people say cholesterol is bad for your health. No, it's quite good, cholesterol.
Is it good?
Yeah, quite good. It's
cholesterol nowadays and saying like, I'm eating ultra processed foods and all that.
There's good cholesterol and there's bad cholesterol for you. So there are species of lipids that are good for you and also bad for you. Sometimes less is more. Anything in excess is always a poison in your body. That's also same applies to lipids as well.
Okay. So the background that you have matches with what you're currently doing then?
In a sense, yeah. So my background is purely on genetics and genomics. I don't necessarily have any experience in my current PhD, since my PhD relies heavily on mass spectrometry. So it's purely chemistry, but yeah.
Okay. So how did you manage then to be a successful applicant and become accepted to enroll the program?
So my final project on my bachelor's degree involves Alzheimer's disease risk genes. Okay. And so that kind of opened my door towards neuroscience, neurodegenerative diseases, and Alzheimer's, and Alzheimer's disease, multiple sclerosis as well. On my master's degree, my project is involved with African turquoise killifish. So it's another door that opened me towards studying model organisms.
Okay.
And I kind of married the idea between my bachelor's degree and my master's degree, and then towards my PhD, which is entitled Investigating the Plasmalogen Lipid in zebrafish development. But yeah.
So then, for you, in your view, it was an easy process then, because with all the background that you had, and then some of the prior knowledge, from your bachelor's, in getting into a completely different PhD, into a PhD in a completely different subject, then for you, was it something easy going, or had some its complications?
It wasn't necessarily complicated in a way.
Okay.
It was daunting at first, the idea of studying a completely different field. But once you've got the fundamentals correct, and the transition should be relatively, I'd say, doable in a way.
Global.
Doable.
Out.
Yeah.
And so. In all fairness, it had some its complications, but then also had some its advantages.
Yeah.
So, and how would you manage to get some funding? Was this a funded project?
Yes, it's a funded project. It's a scholarship. Yeah.
Because I remember when we were talking about when you applied for a PhD, when you used to work at Nando's. I'm still currently working.
Yeah.
And so we're talking about PhD, and I say, okay, fuck, you need to apply for one. And so we're talking about this, and then we're saying about medicine or something related to, or medicine related, as you were saying. And okay, you managed to apply, but then you applied for fund. It's a funded PhD.
It was a funded position, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you were still working, obviously on a part-time basis, as you said to me.
Yeah.
How would you manage then? How did you manage to leverage your full-time PhD and your employability at a part-time job at the time?
So juggling between jobs in an academic setting, it's not as everyone thinks is easy as well. For me, it came to me naturally in a way because I was already working at Nando's during my bachelor's, in my first year in 2019, and while juggling Nando's, table tennis, and studies as well. It came to me naturally. It wasn't easy at the beginning since it was, you have to manage your time, you have to have discipline as well. So I leverage it in a way that I can balance things. So not necessarily, I'm just going to do research all the time, but also have the time to, or be flexible to do other stuff as well, extracurricular activities that can actually benefit you to become more productive in a way.
Okay. And so it wasn't easy at the first, and then so we had to abdicate from your position at Nando's.
Yeah. So I had to adapt. Yeah. Now I was like, okay, I've got a scholarship money, and I was like, okay, there was no point working in Nando's at that time. But yeah.
So, and how then are you able to manage now? So you're still managing the Table Tennis Society?
I'm not in a committee anymore. Last year was my final role as president, and the season's finished now, so I'm still a player. But yeah, player table tennis player.
Will you be able to play at varsity this year?
Yeah, I'm actually the captain of the varsity I was assigned to, so it's my third time playing now. But yeah, so it's saying going to play some table tennis, and then all of a sudden comes up an issue on your PhD, and you have to deal professionally
while playing some table tennis. So would you do this in your lab, in your research experiments? So I'm doing this using my one hand, my not dominant hand, to work on the research while practicing some shots.
You can do, yeah, because one of our friends, Peter, who's currently doing a PhD in machine learning in a way. I think I remember one of his bachelor's project was something related to table tennis shots in a way. So it's definitely doable. But yeah.
So how did that work?
I can't remember the full details, but it's something related to the speed of the ball, something like that. Because table tennis is one of the fastest sports in the world, compared to like the hand-eye coordination and in the split decision making as well. But yeah.
No, I do feel that we've played before. We had a few matches.
Yeah.
And it's been a while because I used to play ping pong as well, but not in a federation wise. Just it was like playing football with school boys, and that was it for me in that case. But I do feel miss on playing table tennis. Well, maybe I'm still on time, but just given the time constraints, and still need to leverage many stuff at the moment.
Yeah.
So now I finished my PhD, and then trying to seek a job, dedicate to PhD Lounge, work now, and there's many stuff at the same time. So, in your research, did you have any negative moments that you felt that I don't want to fucking work in this thing anymore, and just leave it by the other day, or is any other reason and leave it for tomorrow? And in regards to a complex experiment that you had to dealt with.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Well, as I tend to see it, the whole point of a presentation is to make your audience see something that they didn't see before, right? And hopefully in a profound way, because if it's just an easy announcement that's not difficult to explain, why not just send a simple email or write a short memo about it? So the whole point of making a presentation or preparing a larger piece of communication is to make your audience see something that they didn't see before. And that means that means a couple of steps that are immediately derived from that. First of all, you need clarity about what is that actually? What do I need them to see? And you'd be surprised to learn how few people, not exclusively, but particularly in the science community,
yes,
wouldn't be able to say that, to give a concise answer to that. So what is it that you actually want your audience to see? So, and once you've nailed that or have clarity for yourself what that is, you can ask the second question. So why don't they see it already? What do they see? What do they see that I don't? And what do they miss that I see already? And once you have that, you can kind of build a path between those 2 points. And the ultimate goal of a presentation is to lead them to what I would call the point of no return, which would probably coincide with that aha moment where you've told them everything that helps them really see what you wanted to make them see, where there is no going back for them because they've seen it in a way that they cannot unsee it anymore, and where it makes total sense because you've explained it in a way that makes sense using words that they can understand, using images and metaphors that they are familiar with.
Yes, something that is more exactly. It's more something that they are more familiar with. Something that is more common as they've seen, whether on TV or on YouTube. Something, in a sense, it's more of a touristic point of view. It's kind of like when they go to an event, they're attending a speaker. And if you like I'm a tourist here and I want to hear what you have to say. And then something comes up and they say something that sparks their mind and say, aha, that's what I want to know. And so basically,
and that is that is a great approach, and that is so starkly different to what most people do. So most people, when I ask them how they would go about preparing a presentation, they tell me similar things. They first of all, they start with a presentation that they've already given a couple of weeks ago, and then they fill up all the other details that have come up since, and so until they discover, whoa, that's way too much information for 25 minutes. And then they start cutting, and it's still too much. And so basically they have that problem of overwhelming their audience because there's so many things that are interesting and great and fascinating about my field, which makes sense. I mean, you're doing a PhD about it. You're researching 5 years on it. Of course, there's more interesting things to say about it than you've got time to say it.
Yes.
But that approach that you've outlined is a very different approach, where you basically turn that upside down and you don't even bother about all the things that you can say, but only ask yourself, what is that one thing that makes that tourist look over, come closer, and think to themselves, well, that is interesting. I want to know more about that.
Sure.
And so getting clarity and starting there. So what is that one thing? And often it's really literally one thing only.
Yeah. So just to reiterate again, so my PhD focuses on brain lipids, so specifically a type of called plasmalogens, which are really important for brain function and are known to be reduced in conditions like Alzheimer's. So I think one of the biggest challenges was that the data didn't always behave the way we expected.
Okay.
For example, certain lipids we were trying to detect were either very low in abundance or masked by other signals. And at the times, it wasn't even clear if what we were seeing was real or just noise or contamination. So that uncertainty can be quite frustrating, especially when you're trying to prove something that's already debated in the field. I'm sure you've got some challenges as well when you're debating in your field as well, archaeology and history. There were definitely moments where I stared all the data and thinking, this either means something really interesting or absolutely like nothing at all, complete waste of my time. So, what that taught me was to be much more rigorous and critical with my data. So instead of relying on a single piece of evidence, I started combining multiple layers like fragmentation patterns or internal standards and developmental trends or any terminology that is relevant to your field to build a stronger case. So in the end, that actually made the findings more robust. So it shifted my mindset from finding a signal or finding a signal that actually proves that there's that lipid in a way to really proving it's biologically meaningful.
How long does it take to conduct research experiments?
So for my area in lipidomics, in my first year, so it's just me purely training the experiment, lipid extraction on the samples. I was just a complete newbie, don't know what I'm doing. That took me at least 3 days to run one lipid extraction to follow the protocol. Since I've got a hang of it, it should last at least like 1 day, depending on how many samples you're dealing with.
And then and then reporting those to your advisors.
Yes, yeah. So yes, yeah. So lipid extraction, and then once you've got the lipids, we inject them into the machine. So I'm using a high resolution mass spectrometry to track these lipids during development and in the adult brain. So yeah, the exciting part is that we're starting to see evidence not only that they are present, but that they change in very specific ways during key stages like brain development.
Wow, for me, this is absolutely new. I don't know about anything about lipids and doing some of these research experiments. I just want to deal with literature. The only great thing is you have to deal with microscopes and other state-of-the-art technology. Then
yeah. So microscopes, yes. Say for example, so my job as well is to grow zebrafish and collect zebrafish as well. And the first thing we need to do is, so the whole experiment depends on me getting enough zebrafish just to run more experiments. So what my next experiment, I would need to be having enough zebrafish to run the experiments. So currently I have 440 zebrafish. So the experiment's not that hard, but I think it's very time consuming. Say, for example, if you're dealing like 5 to 10 zebrafish, it's doable within now. But if you're dealing 100 within the hundreds, it could easily take 1 hour or 1 day as well. So I think last week I was collecting zebrafish. My final collection, it took me at least 4 hours, just purely collection. So
4 hours. Wow.
Yeah, just purely by collection. So it depends really on the amount of or number of samples that you're dealing with.
Damn, I can imagine how would be a day of a PhD in your field and trying to make those experiences that can be quite stressful and say like this, fuck, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah, that's why I think time management is really important as well. Because of planning, especially with zebrafish, it's so I'm studying the developmental time points in zebrafish. So from 1 hour post-fertilization or 50% epiboly all the way to the adult stages. So I have to collect certain time points. Say, for example, if I set up the zebrafish on Tuesday night, I need to collect the eggs on Wednesday morning and then checking again on the late afternoon just to see has the eggs reached a viable stage that I can collect. But yeah.
So could you tell us a time where you presented some of the results to your PhD advisors, and then what happened afterwards? Was it a negative reception from your supervisor or advisor, or was it okay?
No, it was definitely it was definitely okay. It was definitely very supportive and very constructive. Try my best to have results every time I report, even if it's like a small update, because it's very, very helpful to me in a way. Yeah, there was nothing negative about it as well, because as you know, if postgrads as well, a master's or a PhD, you'd always want to have a good communication with your supervisor.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
But then that communication, how do you practice it, or you just like natural, and then if there's something that fails, what you learn from that, and how does your supervisors give you advice on, okay, look on this way, look in this way?
Yeah.
It might be completely different from the advice I get from my supervisors, that both of them, they advise me to, okay, you could research this specific volume, which is not here, but you can also order it online or check all the libraries. And they for me, in my case, they've provided me a lot of great insights. So yeah. I wonder if in medicine field or related is the same or quite medical-ish approach.
Yeah, so we have regular lab meetings as well. So say, for example, if I presented my own research or research experiment, everyone can chip in.
Okay.
So I can say my piece, the other lab members can say their piece, and my supervisor can say his piece as well. So everyone's chipping in on the feedback. So it's, and that to me is an invaluable source as well. It also practices you as well on public speaking, sharing results to everyone as well.
Have you tried to engage your research publicly?
Yes, yeah. I've attended a couple of conferences, both internationally and domestically. So my first conference was an international one actually. It was in Spain. No, not in Spain. Sorry, it was in Italy.
Okay, whereabouts in Italy?
I should remember this. I should remember this. It was in Tuscany. It was in Tuscany. I don't know why.
The Tuscany region.
Yes, it was in Tuscany. Yes, I don't know why. I wasn't remembering, but yeah, it was Tuscany. It was literally on the day of my birthday as well.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it was a big.
It was a big tour. Yeah, it was in Tuscany because at that time it was like a few months in my PhD, in my first year of the PhD, and my supervisors just encouraged me to apply.
Yeah.
And then lo and behold, I got accepted by it. So yeah, it was daunting at first, but to me it came naturally because if you know your research inside and out, then speaking about it should be I'd say not hard, but I'd say you should know it.
Yeah, I think also that's a great insight that you provide, because knowing your research inside out is a big advantage.
Yeah.
I also say from my experience, because I had a background in public speaking during my bachelor's, and I transferred those skills into my PhD. And my first conference, my supervisor didn't advise. It was me who took the initiative, and my first conference was online, and it was in Malta, and some kind of like a symposium, so to speak, but it was like in a conference, university, academic conference style. Sorry.
Yeah.
And it was interesting to know how people listen to you, how deep you are in your research, and telling that to a non-specialist audience. And yeah, I think it was great. There's a lot of great experiences, and you can bring a lot of insightful knowledge from other people you can apply into your research. Did you have that? Oh.
In terms of what? Sorry.
So when you presented your research in Italy and other ones as well, whilst you were hearing other ones, did you take something insightful from the other speakers?
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Moreover, writing feedback also pushes the supervisor to communicate better with the student if they write it in an oriented-based way, in the sense that it has to be professional and academic, which teaches the student to figure out a different approach to address the argument, reflecting too if the supervisor discusses the feedback verbally with the student. The more feedback the supervisor gives in a research proposal, but from an oriented-based, as well as balanced and constructive perspective, the more the student is likely to engage with and figure out alternative ways to address the academic gap while writing the research proposal effectively to submit it afterwards.
Yeah, definitely. They were giving constructive feedback on my data. So in conferences, it's all about just listening to what they're trying to say, in a way, both academically and non-academically. It's all about connections, collaborations, networking as well. I'd say in terms of so what's helpful for me is that I always say to myself, like, I know nothing about everything. So it's you just absorb information from everyone, even though you think it's not helpful. It's still gonna help you in a way.
Yeah,
I'd say.
Then again, it will be useful for a later stage when working independently, so to speak.
Yeah.
Working in a research lab as well. How is it your relationship with the other PhDs that you work alongside them within a research lab?
Yeah, they're okay. They're quite good. So we don't usually talk that much because we're very busy at the moment. So he's always dealing with his own stuff, and I'm dealing with my own stuff. So we occasionally talk if there's some problem needs to be addressed or just a catch up, really. But yeah.
It's just to say, hey, I'm doing this research and I can't talk to you right now, then I'm going.
Yeah, that's basically it.
So back to the conferences. Do you have any upcoming one? Or
So I've done for now because I'm in my first year and second year. I've attended a couple of conferences.
Okay.
So now I'm at my sensitive stage of my PhD.
Which
So far nothing planned yet for conferences now.
Which one did you? I know this sounds like risky, but which one did you enjoy the most of all the conferences that you've spoke at?
Oh, I think
Attended?
it was definitely the international one. Because I attended the Gordon Research Conferences, so it was a bit in the forefront in my field. So I was very lucky that I've been able to attend that as well. Researchers all around the world, people that wrote my textbooks actually attended there. And it's just a grateful opportunity to be able to attend such a prestigious conference such as that. And yeah, I'd say easily the Gordon Conference in Tuscany, Italy.
Well, then you had the chance to taste some of the wines of the region then.
Yeah, definitely.
Because they're really good. Because they're really good. Did you also have the opportunity to go to Florence?
During the time, no, it was just in Tuscany and Pisa.
Because Florence is in the Tuscany region.
Yeah,
So that's why I was asking you.
Yeah. So I visited Florence before, but as a holiday. But during the conference, I think we just visited Pisa, and that's it, really.
Nice one then. Tell me this: if you could go back to your first year, what would you have done differently?
I think I would focus much earlier on the bigger picture instead of getting lost in small technical details. So I think in the beginning I spent a lot of time trying to perfect the methods without fully thinking about how everything connects to the main research question.
Right.
I think second as well, I'd also start data analysis earlier, even with imperfect data, because that's where you really begin to understand your project, even though the data is a bit not clean or anything. It's still telling you a lot on that data. So it's about navigating when things don't go as planned. So
right. No, that's insightful. As we said previously, it's learning from what you've done, learning from the mistakes, and also navigating throughout those, to leverage the situation to reach a positive outcome. Then.
Yeah, for sure. The opportunity wouldn't present itself if you weren't capable. So yeah.
So, do you have any upcoming things, just submitting completely the PhD and then preparing yourself for the Viva, or you don't? Or how? I wonder how would a Viva Voce in the medical field would look like. Do you have any knowledge of it, or have you heard?
I don't have any knowledge about it, but I do heard a bit about it.
Okay.
So I think they're gonna assign a chair outside your school.
Yes.
And I think a secondary one.
Do you have any stories to share?
I mean, I know a few stories where they successfully become a doctor, but in detail, no.
No, I think this is the best thing, and doing something that you like. And many of the students, I don't know, I think give it effects to the majority of us as candidates, and I want to have a PhD so that everyone can call me a doctor, or having the PhD title right next to your surname. I wonder if that would be your mindset, or I want to gather some knowledge, obviously, and then apply that later.
To me, it's having the PhD in your name. Like, I think it's just a bonus for me. Like, I wouldn't. Obviously, it's nice, but at the same time, I just hope I get a job after this. So, but yeah.
Have you done something in between your PhD? I know you did. You were the president of the Table Tennis Society
before. Yeah.
Have you done some teaching and note taking on any sort?
Oh no. So during my bachelor's and master's, I did like note taking, and I'm still currently a senior teaching assistant, so assisting at practical stuff like that. But something professionally like formal, no. I think I wouldn't have that time to juggle like a professional job whilst doing experiment. No way.
You have to prepare yourself for what's coming afterwards.
Yeah. I think it's just a sensitive time. So I even sent to my family as well, like, oh, please don't invite me to any holidays at the moment because I just need the time. Yeah.
So how your parents understand your?
Yeah, they understand. Yeah, because it's such a precarious situation as well. Like, they wouldn't want to affect my studies as well. So, right. I mean, I just gave them a heads up in advance. So I was like, yeah, they're completely fine with it.
So then I'd say this year, yes, but at these final hurdles of your PhD, I'd say I can't go to Manchester.
I wouldn't necessarily. I think maybe, yeah, I'll still go to Manchester, but nothing too major, I'd say. Like going abroad.
Yeah, so I think it's just like flying no, not flying, sorry, it's just traveling locally first.
Yeah.
And then so for the future, would you consider going, we've been talking a lot of this, but would you consider getting into a postdoc, or you want to go just jump straight into an industry?
Yeah, I'm considering to do at least becoming a postdoc or anything, something related to laboratories, and hopefully, if I've got the luxury to be able to pivot into industry. So because I'm really enjoying the research aspect of my field, and yeah.
Do you still maintain your online presence then to share your research?
I'm not necessarily like posting that much related to my research.
Right.
I think it's because of like data sensitive something like that. But
yeah.
And from time to time I just post like updates on Instagram story, and that's it really. Like nothing too major.
Related to table tennis.
Loads of table tennis, yeah, but not necessarily related to the PhD.
No, so I've seen like so many people that they post lots of stuff on about the PhDs and their results with such elaboration. I'd say on LinkedIn, many people who have their own PhDs, they have their own businesses, and they elaborate loads and loads of text.
Yeah.
Like is to give, I don't know if it is a corporate validation, because it feels like Facebook for corporates. Have you noticed that before?
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it as long as it's like appropriate, I'd say. Say, for example, if you have a job posting and stuff like that, like I wouldn't post it on Instagram or anything. Like LinkedIn is definitely like an appropriate place for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you been surfing just for curiosity? Have you been?
Yeah, browsing. In terms of.
In your field.
Oh, in my field. Yeah. So like on my feed, there's always stuff about neuroscience, lipidomics. Whenever I find something helpful, not only to me but to others as well, I just immediately repost it as well.
Do you have any other stories would you like to share about your research?
No, not really. They're all boring.
No, I mean, I'm also boring, so no mind.
In a way, no, nothing really that comes into mind. No. That's why I said it's important to have something outside, like PhD for me, like for example, table tennis. So
that part is more easier to manage then. Was the beginning, as you said, was it a bit hard, wasn't it?
In the beginning, it was a bit hard, in a way, because I don't know exactly how much work I should be needing to put, especially on my training. But I realized that you need to do a lot of work because you know nothing about the field, stuff like that.
Sure.
So I raised awareness to my supervisor that hey, at the time I was very active on my table tennis games, so at least I'd say that because box games were occurring on Wednesday, so there were times that I'm not gonna be available on Wednesday,
Yeah.
So, as long as you progress, and, my supervisor has been quite supportive of that balance. As long as you're progressing and delivering results, they understand that having that outlet makes you more productive in the long run.
No, I think that's the main focus of one of the main focuses of the PhD is to just keep yourself on track.
Yeah.
They also because supervisors also monitor that, and they're also being evaluated by their own, by the head office of each university.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
Right. Angelo, I think we can wrap up unless you have something to say. Anything else about?
No, that's all okay for me. That's all okay for me. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, go on.
No, it's okay. What were you saying?
I was remembering this, and I was about to forget. Do you still remember that episode that we had back when it was during COVID, and we were talking about PhD, how I was about to going to start in July 2021, and we were talking about that, and we were taking the yerba mate.
Yes.
You still remember that?
I still remember that. Yeah.
That fucking dope head over there is like, oh my god, can I have some taste of this?
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, it's near McDonald's. Yeah,
it's near McDonald's. And I think there's like nowadays nobody seems to really care about that, about sipping yerba mate and not saying in a sense of no drug addict or weed addict come and approach. So I had a situation where they didn't say anything.
Yeah.
And then you cross them. They were smoking weed, and I was sipping my mate, crossing like nothing was in, as well as the police. I think I was sipping my mate once on the way home, and I passed by 2 police officers.
Yeah.
And I looked behind them and I thought to myself, oh, okay. I think they didn't detain me.
No, because because yerba is a bit inconspicuous looking.
Yeah.
Thingy.
Yeah, it feels like, but at the same time they would be confused with that, but I think at the same time they have been informed about those kind of not kind of alternative teas, so to speak.
Yeah.
Because the Turkish shop where I buy my groceries, they sell the yerba mate as well.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they got briefed on what yerba mate looks like because
probably sure. So unfortunately, I can't sip it inside of a plane unless I can read it with my.
Yeah, I'd understand that.
Would you buy some eventually?
I find it too strong for me, yerba mate. If I just find it too strong, stronger than coffee, so I probably just stick to coffee. Yeah.
It's like maybe like let me blend a bit of both and say no. You'll be tweaked like a guy who just sipped Cuban coffee.
Yeah, probably be tweaking.
So Angelo, thank you for your time. Could you share any advice for those who are thinking in undertaking a PhD or are about to start their PhDs?
Yeah. So I think always remember that it's a marathon, not a race.
Yeah.
So be prepared for uncertainty. It's probably the biggest thing, because a PhD isn't about like following a clear path. It's always about navigating when things don't go as planned, and also don't isolate yourself. Talk to people, lab mates, collaborators, attend conferences, go outside your comfort zone, and finally like focus on progress and not perfection. Because I think small, consistent steps matter more than waiting for everything to be perfect. If you're waiting for everything to be perfect, then you'll be waiting for the rest of your life. So, yeah.
And I think that's a well-composed message to deliver to those who are who want to study for a PhD and those who are about to start. And
hopefully,
the PhD keeps evolving. Now, many people are jump from their bachelor's and go straight into a PhD.
Yeah. And
I think something about around the PhD degree will come up in the future. Don't know. Maybe it will be the degree of the future. We don't know. I've asked this question several times to many people, and they see if they feel uncertainties. Others say, I hope not, but that's how it is. So where students and graduates can follow you then on so
yeah, so I have an Instagram, Jello_Rothat and I have a LinkedIn as well. So you just type in my name and it should pop up. So
and I'll definitely do it. And I mean, for the students and graduates hearing this topic, if you want to do something around medical field or medicine related, shout out to Angelo Robles, and he'll be glad to help you out. And as for us, it's a wrap up. Angelo, thank you so much again, and let's catch up soon.
Yeah, it's all good.
Now I'm free basically from my PhD and just doing all the stuff. And for those who are tuning in, thank you all to you, and it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
And being like, okay, this is the animal, this is how you can interact with it, this is what happens, and try to do much of the same is take you with me. And it's all very much kind of quite casual, I guess, in the diary format. And it started actually not even as film or as videos or anything like that. It started as articles. I used to write articles for magazines.
Oh, okay.
It started at school, actually, when I was back in Spain. Then when I moved to boarding school in England, I wrote for the school magazine.